Good day, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I'm your host, the Voice of Reason. So, in today's ongoing reports about the civil war that is taking place inside of the former state of Ethiopia, I will start in the eastern Tigray region, and it would appear that the Tigrayan Defense Forces have launched an operation in the vicinity of Rukro, heading east into the Afar region. Now, this would appear to be another operation into the Afar region. This appears to be centered on moving towards and possibly seizing the city of Berhali. The objective of these sorts of operations, I do not believe are to take and hold terrain, but to create buffer zones and eliminate possible threats in terms of any sort of supporting Afar paramilitaries, any sort of ENDF activity, commando activity, special forces activity, normal operations that the ENDF could take in terms of threatening the eastern portions of Tigray. And again, this operation appears to be of limited scope. It is not huge, while at the same time it is also not very small as well. But nevertheless, it is an ongoing operation into the Afar region, again, those objectives appear to be centered on possibly advancing on and or seizing the city of the town of Berhali. And again, obviously, many persons familiar with the channel and have the ability to go in and look at the terrain of the Afar region. It is not an area that is indicative of massive amounts of human habitation. There's not a lot of ability to supply large amounts of forces. There's just simply not the kind of infrastructure that exists there. But at the same time, having the ability to move eastward and secure these buffer zones to prevent any sort of raiding activity into the Tigray region would benefit the war aim, war goal of the Tigrayan Defense Forces. Obviously, from a standpoint of the TDF, there are many more objectives in the Tigray region, running from Mekelle all the way up north towards Adigrat, that could be lucrative targets for forces of the opposition based in and around the western portions of the Afar region. So again, that operation would appear simply to be to remove any sorts of threats that could possibly endanger supply routes running from Mekelle to Adigrat, and then obviously the towns and cities themselves in the area. The operations continue as well in the south and the central front. Operational pushes continue from Waldea south towards the goal of eventually taking the city of Dese. There continues to be very heavy fighting now in the Debre Tabor sector. We are starting to see the use of heavy artillery by the Tigrayan Defense Forces against targets in the vicinity of Debre Tabor to eliminate Amhara paramilitary units, ENDF operations, and so forth. We have also heard reports of either an ENDF operation or some sort of Amhara paramilitary operation that has taken place in the vicinity of Gashina. Again, somewhat difficult to verify. There appears to be ongoing fighting in the vicinity of Gashina in the areas around south of Gashina as well. But obviously, this is an active combat zone. There is the TDF made very rapid advances from Waldea to Debre Tabor, and in fact, forward elements have actually pushed as far close to Tana Lake, and the vital we're at a road junction as well. But at the same time, you can also prepare to see the opposition forces in terms of the Ethiopian National Army and the Amhara paramilitaries attempt at some point limited counteroffensives, and I don't think this is if in fact it is occurring, right? If in fact there are ENDF forces that have pushed somehow towards Gashina, possibly from the south or possibly from the coming northwest from the Desse area. These forces are not a huge force. I do not believe it is designed to take and seize territory. I don't believe the ability to take and seize large towns right now I do not believe the Ethiopian army nor the Amhara militias have that current capability. A lot of that capability was lost in the pullout of the Tigray region, in the defeats that were suffered in the Tigray region, and in the ongoing battles that took place from Waja, Kobo, north of Alamata and Korem, the engagements around Weldea, and then obviously engagements that continue to take place as they push west. So if the Ethiopian state had the ability to defend these towns, they would have done so. And it is, again, it's much easier to defend a location than it is to conduct offensive operations. So I highly doubt that, on one hand, the Ethiopian state does not have the ability to retain large amounts of terrain, so therefore they would not have the ability to attack and seize large amounts of terrain. I hope that makes sense for everybody. You just can't lose the sort of real estate that you're losing, and valuable targets at that, such as Weldea, Lalibela, Sokoto, and other places as well. And then on the other hand, announce that you're conducting a major offensive operation when in fact you couldn't conduct defensive operations. So I hope I'm articulating that well enough to for everyone to have an understanding of the real facts on the ground. Operations also continue in the vicinity of Debark. It would appear that the Tigrayan Defense Forces have pushed past some key terrain features north of Debark, i.e. this mountainous terrain, and has successfully entered the outskirts of the city. Now, will we see soon the Tigrayan Defense Forces actually fully entering Debark? Will we see the capitulation of Debark and the full combat power of the Tigrayan Defense Forces moving into the city of Debark? Unsure yet. We're standing by to receive information on that. It is a very good possibility. It would appear right now that a lot of efforts in terms of the Ethiopian state, in terms of the Amhara militias and paramilitaries, are really focused on attempting to stifle the TDF offensive operations that are taking place in the vicinity of Debre Tabor. The Ethiopian state, Abiy Ahmed, the Prosperity Party, are very well aware that if Wereta falls and the vital road junction falls, and we see forces of the TDF start to advance on Bahir Dar and Gondar, it's really game over. They have effectively lost the war, at least in terms of the very short term. But you can see the desperation starting to set in. And again, this is not a biased report at all. It is just the facts on the ground. Right now, the Ethiopian state is suffering military defeats. And why is that occurring? Well, right now, the Tigrayan Defense Forces, the opposition to the Ethiopian state, is better led. There appears to be more competent battlefield commanders. It is a more aggressive and motivated fighting force that appears to be a bit more well-trained at this point. And that is simply what is occurring. It's very difficult to say that is not occurring by the facts on the ground. Now, yes, will there be tenacious defenses at some point by the Ethiopian army, possibly by the Amhara militia? Absolutely. Will there be limited counterattacks? Yes, there could be. And we could quite possibly be seeing that in the vicinity of Gashina. However, not having the ability to hold these towns that have been lost is indicative of not having those abilities to launch those great offenses that they continue to talk about. I don't think that capability exists. But we will continue to monitor the situation and just watch what occurs and report as we continue to get information. But right now, it would appear heavy fighting has taken place north of Debark, and the TDF is moving towards that area with the intent of possibly seizing the city. Very heavy fighting continues from what I would define as the Weldia Debre Tabor corridor in this vicinity, especially possibly near Gashina, and obviously the heaviest fighting is going on near Debre Tabor as the main body of TDF pushes westwards towards Tana Lake. The momentum that is going on with the Oromo Liberation Army, it is not stopping. Again, you can see the hundreds of square kilometers of territory that has been taken by the Oromo Liberation Army. They are effectively taking ground, taking towns, holding cities, besieging military bases of the Ethiopian National Army, or really the security forces, the regional security forces of the Ethiopian Federal Police, and other militia units that are allied with the Ethiopian government. But we are seeing, as you can see from the map here, that the operational tempo by the Oromo Liberation Army is significant, and it is causing a great deal of challenges for the Ethiopian state as we speak. And again, this is going to cause or have ramifications for the ongoing conflict that is taking place further north. And then obviously, this is really just a complete disaster in terms of what is occurring inside of the Oromo region. But again, we will continue to update the status of the conflict as events warrant. And we will certainly do more videos to come. Have a great day, everybody.